Some of you asked what tragedy pimping is versus simply reporting the facts of a case. And that isn't to say that getting a small detail wrong occasionally makes you a tragedy pimp, or even that being wrong about the guilt or innocence in a case makes you a tragedy pimp. Generally, tragedy pimps exploit children, and this is why it's really important to protect children. No matter who the defendant is, we always have to protect the children because of tragedy pimps. So let's start there. What is a tragedy pimp? And what kind of behaviour should we be looking out for?
YouTubers are reportedly charging people to view Gannon's autopsy photos. Fox 31's Talia Cunningham is in studio with the very latest, all new at 9. Talia.
Well, Erica, two self-proclaimed true crime YouTubers are facing some serious backlash tonight. Gannon, who's pictured here, was killed back in 2020. Medical examiners say the 11-year-old suffered 18 stab wounds, blunt force injuries, and a gunshot to the jaw. So the two YouTubers reportedly charged their patrons to view the gruesome autopsy photos, and people are furious about it. The district attorney of Colorado Springs is calling it disgusting.
This just keeps those wounds open. They know that Gannon's body is being paraded around essentially on the internet superhighway, and there's nothing they can do to stop it, and it's just grotesque.
When this apparent car was found, who's the only cop car that was there? The one that's not involved with these press conferences, a trucky cop car. Which fits perfect because there ain't no fucking information saying this person is fucking real. Zero. You know what I think it is? I think these motherfuckers are selling foreign kids that have no documentation, which is why there's no information on them. Hey, we're searching. Then all the weirdos that know this language see it, they get online, they look, and they go search and find this shit, which is why it's this weird fucking community thing going on that no one understands.
Need you to be looking out for Kylie and Kylie's car.
When 16-year-old Kylie Rodney vanished after attending a party in August of 2022, her mother's desperate plea for help.
My head is all over the place and I'm terrified.
So let's just pause for a moment and visit this one. What happens when you convince 3 million followers that the person who is missing isn't even real? Logic dictates that that's 3 million less people who are going to be out there helping this mother find her daughter. Why would you do such a thing? What do you have to gain other than a following?
Turned the search for her daughter into an international story, but the news took a tragic turn.
A heartbreaking end to the more than 2-week-long search.
When investigators in California determined she accidentally drowned after driving her car into a lake the night she went missing.
Oh no, the case got solved and the tragedy pimps aren't going to get money from it anymore. So what do? They invent a story that this person was never missing to begin with and in fact did never exist. And all the hundreds of people who turned out to the candlelight vigils were all, paid actors? Please, get a goddamn grip. I need to give you a sound warning because this woman's voice, holy henna. Grab the volume knob now and adjust according to your own ear capacity.
And then you got up off the couch and you went to bed and you said that was around midnight.
What? I'm telling you, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to it. I've been saying, she went to bed, she woke up at 10. No, y'all. No, that's not what she said. That's not what she said. Originally, she fell asleep at 10, an hour after her son went to sleep. And she woke up and went to bed around midnight. What? And we listened to it several times, and we did not hear it the way I just heard it. I'm telling y'all. She's busted.
Wait, who's busted? Boohoo Betty?
We're learning more after the woman accused of harassing Sebastian Rogers' family was arrested. The missing teen's mother earned an order of protection after claiming she was being stalked and falsely accused by a YouTuber. Andrew Griffin, also known as Bullhorn Betty, was booked into Sumner County Jail. Clarksville police say they initially arrested her for an out-of-county warrant for contempt. The Florida woman was charged with violating that same protection order.
I hear ya. But Aussie, this is all First Amendment protected speech, and that might well be the case. That isn't the point that I'm trying to make. Let's explore further to see if you can get the point.
Oh, my favorite Dolly Vision. Look at that. Found dead, and then it says Sebastian. Are you kidding me, Dolly? That's disturbing. Oh, and look here. Sebastian turns cold case. Live call-in show. Yeah, Dolly, that's misinformation. And how gross that you would call a parent of a missing child stank toe. Grow up. There's Betty. And this one's definitely disturbing. Betty writes, as her title, Sebastian Rogers, period. Body found, period. Tennessee. Of course, she's implying that Sebastian has been found. And he wasn't. More misinformation, more tagging of missing children. It's Pascal. We couldn't do this without him. He also quit and then didn't. These people are a joke. And they do this to bring you in, bring you out. They quit, and then they decide not to quit when they realize, there goes your money. Oh, look, it's J for Justice. Spreading misinformation one day at a time. Exploiting missing children one day at a time. And the fact that they can't help tagging Sebastian's name and his parents' names in all their drama live streams, well, that's pretty bad. Because when people actually want to find legit information about a missing child, facts and stuff like that, they end up coming across these horrible drama live streams full of lies and misinformation. And that is not helpful to any missing child.
You can tune in to Tragedy Pimps Exposed to find out all the updates of the newest and upcoming Tragedy Pimps out there. But essentially, the bottom line is they exploit children and their families. They will try to get interviews with the family and then twist those interviews around to make the family look guilty of something, even though the child's only missing at this stage. And God forbid if the family actually makes a statement, that all gets twisted around and used against them as well. In the case of Summer Wells, photos that were being put out by the family to help find the child were being photoshopped and edited to make it look like she was abused, and so on. So, if you're sitting there saying, we have a right to see the photos of dead children, no you don't. Open justice is about the public's right to know the facts and circumstances of a case. It's not the public's right to exploit children. And when you blur those lines, you end up with tragedy pimps, getting hold of information and images that nobody should be looking at and distributing them around the internet. And to be honest, I don't particularly care what the law or the Constitution says. We're all capable of common human decency. There comes a time when you need to put aside your biases to make room for common human decency.
New developments this afternoon related to the Delphi murders case. New criminal charges now announced.
Mitchell Westerman is accused of taking evidence from the office one of Richard Allen's original defense attorneys, So more specifically, investigators are saying he took pictures of crime scene photos where Abby Williams and Libby German died.
Now, in an affidavit to the court, Mitchell admits that while visiting the office of original defense attorney Andrew Baldwin, he saw the pictures on a conference table and took the photos. Investigators say Mitchell then shared the photos with another person who shared them with someone else, who then shared them with various YouTube and podcast creators.
Who left the evidence out on the conference table? It wasn't Judge Gull, was it? When you are entrusted with sealed evidence, it's your responsibility. When you're the one who took the photos and spread them on the internet, It's your responsibility. Until the evidence is made publicly available via FOIA, the lawyers representing the state and the defendant are responsible for protecting those victims. And in the case where they are impounded by the court, you are in contempt of court if you or someone in your office leaks them. I'm not saying the way the judge punished contempt of court was right or wrong. She was put in her place by the appellate courts, and that's exactly how the justice system works. When judges, who are also human and also sometimes make mistakes, make a wrong call, that's what the appellate courts are for. So no, I'm not buying that that little scenario that unfolded because of the leak was the fault of anybody except the people who allowed it to be leaked. Whatever your bias is in this specific case, the law actually functioned the way it's supposed to. The judge overreacted because why? Tragedy pimps. And the appellate court put her back in her place. And the defendant got his lawyers back. I only ask that you be decent humans, whatever your opinions or biases are, and at least appreciate when the law functions as it should. I mean, I get it. If you think you're a hammer, then you're going to see everything around you like a nail. But protecting children from the tragedy pimps, those aren't nails you need to hammer. They simply boil down to common human decency. And if you cannot put your bias aside to see it as such, then you have an issue with your bias. Yelling at me because I don't share your bias is still your issue with your bias. Let me close out by saying, if there ever was people in the public gallery, you know what public means, don't you? That means it's not closed to the public. That means it's open to the public. If there ever was people in the public gallery who is going to take care of those kids, it's going to be Andrea, Lawyer Lee, and Defence Diaries. I'm sure there's others that have escaped my memory right now, but the point I'm making is the case involves children, the tragedy pimps want their hands on the evidence, and they shouldn't be allowed to get their hands on the evidence. So we have to rely on people like Andrea and Lawyer Lee and Defence Diaries to go to the public gallery and gather the information for us. Again, it's not another nail you need to be smacking on the head. There's a very valid reason for it. If only you could put your bias aside to see it.